Hello, this is Daryl,
And this is John.
and this is the Town of Orphan Characters, where we roll up random characters each week and see what we make. We put them in our town, and they have fun. You can rent them out, you can hang out and go on adventures with them. So let's see what we make today, John.
All right.
So previously we made Coloxus Prickles, the deep forest gnome.
I love the name Prickles so much.
It makes us. It's like bubbles. It will always put a smile on your face.
Yeah, absolutely.
Although, who is the lawful evil monk who is probably making mischief in the region by stealing everybody's giant dire hedgehogs from the local nobles.
Yeah, mischief and or eco-terrorism.
Yes. However you want to phrase that.
Right.
We're not going to go very big into what the other characters are doing. We're sure that they're making relationships and hanging out, doing banter and stuff like that. But we want to leave that kind of up to you and your imagination and for you and your play group to go through and do. Although I'm sure that Zaralak and Mishira are kind of getting along in some kind of like weird buddy comedy way, similar to Drax and Mantis. From the
and I feel like Jaruk is probably being a sweet lumberjack and
he's
at least attempting to woo the ladies while also dragging Nevin on the chores.
Oh yeah, I'm sure Jaruk is like just pestering the crap out of Nevin and getting him to do things for him all the time. I think that's probably what's going on quite often between those two. And I'm sure we're seeing a lot more, not so much townsfolk, but like cleaning up of the town. The streets are becoming better, more well-defined, some layouts coming in. And
yeah, I've been wondering what kind of house Cloxus actually has.
Ooh, that is a good question.
Yeah. I think it's going to be something weird, like somebody's basement or like the attic. Like basically, what kind of hideout does an eco-terrorist have? That's like the mailroom in It's Always Sunny, where Charlie's got like the giant board, the pin board with all the like conspiracy stuff. Yeah, I think Cloxus has like a weirdo dungeon of some kind.
So hear me out here. Cloxus is got a normal small ranch style house with a bunch of regular sized hedgehogs out in like a ranch style. Like it's boarded off. It's got a little fence and whatnot like that. And they honestly just like do the normal stuff like that on the outside. But in the bottom of Celia's boat, in like the front part of it, Cloxus has like carved a hole and has the I'm gonna go and do this thing kind of wall.
Amazing. Yeah.
Her planning hideout.
A secret hideout inside somebody else's house. That's kind of amazing. I love it.
Yeah.
Because it's a boat, so they can use it to kind of get around.
But Celia doesn't know that there's a hole been cut into the boat now with like a door at the bottom. Because it's small. It's a small gnome-sized door. And so they have no clue about that. Yeah.
I love it.
I think that's wonderful.
So if you decide to play Cloxus or to incorporate Cloxus into your campaign, think about weird hideouts that Cloxus could carve out of your world.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Definitely. Like try to think of how this small tiny eco-terrorist is going to hang out and like have a secret base in your world. That's a great point to have right there. Now moving on from that, let's see what we're going to make today, because I'm sure this is our 11th episode. Last episode was our 10th, and we made this wonderful weird hodgepodge monk And let's see what the dice gods want to give us this time.
Yeah. Maybe not something as bizarre as that. I feel like
that was a tough one.
I don't know. I don't want to jinx it. Let's just roll and see what we get.
Yeah. Okay. So John, go ahead and roll us up a race, a D20 and a D10.
All right. I think I just rolled a 0 is 10, right?
Yes.
Or so that would be an 18.
Okay. So, oh my goodness, John, I'm gonna roll a D6. Odds are even, buddy.
Oh geez, even.
Okay, even will be the top one. Odd. John, it's our first human.
Beautiful. Oh my god, this poor idiot. I love it.
And not only is it a human,
man.
it's a variant human. So we get languages, 2 ability score increases, a skill, and a feat.
Oh sweet.
We haven't had any feats yet because nobody's leveled up.
Yeah.
So
we get a bunch of random stuff though. That's sweet.
Yeah, I know, it's amazing. We just talking about the other day about how we've never rolled that up.
No humans. Yeah.
Yeah, our monster town. So let's start with the languages. If I remember correctly, there is 26 languages. So a D6 and a D20.
D6 and a D20. All right. You want me to do this?
Yeah, go right ahead.
How many languages do we get? Just one extra, or is it like
just one?
Bunch?
Just one.
Okay, just one language. A 3 and a 2, so that would make it 5.
Draconic. Okay. We get 2 ability scores. So I'm going to roll 2d6 to choose that. So first one is the charisma and intelligence. Or the ability score increases of 1 for this character. Skills. 18. Please roll a d20, John.
All right.
You would think by now that I would have a better chart of all the numbers, but we've never had this happen before, so I have no clue.
I think we can forgive that. Maybe we'll set up a spreadsheet later. That is a 14.
Wonderful. Persuasion is the proficiency bonus here. And now the feat. Oh my goodness. I have no clue how many feats there are. 1, 2, 3.
Are we making sure to leave out the ones that have prerequisites?
There are 38 non-single ones. There's a couple ones that you can choose like other classes for.
Okay.
Unfortunately, there's no way for me to leave out the prerequisites. So what we can do is we can leave the feat. Either we roll it up now and just see where it ran, because you get the feat when you get your race, and you choose your race first, typically. We can do that now, or we can wait until after we get our class. We've never had to deal with this before. This is completely new things.
Here's the thing. Most people would pick after they've chosen their class and stuff, because they'd want to pick something that went with their build. But we are randos.
Yes.
And so I think we should roll it. Just throw caution to the wind and roll it now.
Okay.
And if we hit something that has prerequisites, we'll just roll again.
If we hit something that has prerequisites that we don't get later on, we will roll again.
Okay, sure.
Because some of the prerequisites might be like, you need to have light armor, and we're like, oh, we rolled up a wizard. Crap.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Sure.
So
that works.
You roll a d20, I roll a d20, and
we'll add them together.
Yep.
Alrighty. That's a 14.
I got a 3.
14 and 3 is 17.
17? Oh, well, okay. So this we might have to reroll this one eventually, but we got lightly armored. We are trained to master the use of light armor and gain the following benefits. Increase your strength or dexterity score by 1 and gain proficiency with light armor. So, not the best one.
Maybe. I mean, there's not a prerequisite for that, is there? You just have, you just get the proficiency.
Nope. We just gain light armor. Yeah. So, which is pretty good if we get a squishy.
So, I mean, if we roll a class that already has proficiency with light armor, we should re-roll it?
I think so.
Okay.
Because it becomes super redundant and, like, yes, it's an ability score improvement. By the way, John, strength or dexterity for odds?
Oh, geez. Strength.
Okay. It is even, so dexterity. So yeah, technically speaking, it is still an ability score improvement. So it's not a complete dud.
Right.
But if we do get a class that has light armor proficiency already, I think it's better and more interesting if we go ahead and re-roll that.
Okay.
So that we're not stacking that up there. Moving right along, we have the gender for this character. We do a 2 dice system. The D6 is born as, and then a D10 to see what they present currently as. John, do you want to do both or just one? Because we like to mix this up.
Yeah, let's mix it up. I'll do. What did I do last time? I don't remember. How about I do the D6, you do the D10?
Sure. I'll roll my dwarvish D10. Okay.
Born as female.
And presents as agender.
Oh, sweet.
So,
okay.
Doesn't really ascribe to any current gender norms or ideas of gender in that sense. So,
yeah,
that's going to be quite interesting. Yeah, so I think now the humans start adventuring probably about in most fantasy settings in the early teens, preteen time, 12, 13, 15 sometimes. They're not technically an adult, but you can get around into adventuring about that time. I think that's a pretty good base. And I think we should do our D4 and D6 combination to see the age.
Okay.
You have the nice clickety-clack box to make all the dice goblins happy. Would you please?
She said 2 D4 and a D6.
Oh no, just a D6 and a D4.
Oh, a D6 and a D4. Okay.
Yeah, check the age.
That's a 2 and a 2.
So 4. So let's go with 19.
Okay.
I was thinking about it while you were rolling, and I think 13 is a little bit early. Could happen, but it seems a little. So I moved it up to 15. So that would be that they're 19, which is the youngest character. Red Sword is gonna have a heyday with this character, and so the 19 agendered human who just happened to show up into this town filled with, I wouldn't say monstrous races, but not the common races at all. Like the forest gnome is probably the most common race we have that isn't typically a villain in a fantasy setting.
Right.
This is going to be like a very, who knows, it could be a very strong adjustment period for this character, could be super confusing, or they could just be really settled in. Like this character could be...
it could be a very liberating experience to be in this melting pot town.
So I'm going to roll a D10 to get our alignment. And our alignment check says 6. That is chaotic neutral.
I like this character. So the chaotic neutral is just like the typical like my first D&D character. You know what I mean? Like everyone's like, I don't know what to be. I'll be chaotic neutral, so I can just do whatever I want.
Kind of. Everybody's like, okay, it is. Characters who follow whims and their own things above all else.
Mm-hmm.
So somebody who doesn't really take into account the laws, doesn't take into account personal customs, just does them.
Right.
Met a few of these kind of people in college from our friend group that I can think of off the top of my head. I'm not going to call them out because they might take it as a slight, but I really think it's a really good thing that they're them.
They're them. They're here.
Yes.
They are doing things, and they are doing them chaotically in a neutral manner. I think that that just giggled earlier because it just seems like we rolled our first human, and of course they're
chaotic neutral.
Chaotic neutral,
chaotic neutral, agendered 19-year-old female. Like the liberal arts student has come into town now. But it doesn't necessarily have to be a better way. I do know a lot of people who play, I'm chaotic neutral, to be an excuse to do whatever they feel like in the story. But it's not that. It's not, suddenly my character's going to go rob the other characters. That's not what's going to happen. It's my character sees the noble kick a puppy. My character loves puppies, can't stand people who abuse them. I'm going to go punch that noble.
Yeah.
Is that really best for the party? No. But I wouldn't abide by somebody kicking a puppy.
Yeah.
I'm going to punch him. Like that
I think more experienced players, when they do play a chaotic neutral character, they can really do some fun things with it. And it's not, like you said, intended to be the character that just does whatever they want in the moment. But typically it's also the murder hobo alignment.
It is. It's
so I think we'll see. Are we going to get a character that is murder hobo, or are we going to get a character that speaks to the more seasoned role player? I think it being us at the helm here, we might end up with a character for a more seasoned role player, but we'll see.
Hopefully, but either way, if it's a murder hobo, maybe we won't have a town in the morning.
I am kind of excited for our town's first murder hobo to show up. just shake Sophia, and is also just stuffing Red Saurus jewels in a bag.
And just screaming out, "It's what my character would do! It's what my character would do!"
Steal the cheese and set your house on fire.
Let me guess. Somebody stole your sweet roll.
Yeah. Oh, man.
Now, moving on to find out if this really is a murder hobo, we need to roll up some ability scores.
Okay.
This is typically a 46, drop the lowest. I'm going to go ahead and start us off with the strength score.
Okay.
Because I have 4 very different sized dice, and they make very nice sounds. So we have a 6, 4, and a 3. The 2 is dropped, so a 13 for strength.
Okay.
John, if you'd be so kind.
Yeah. A 5, a 3, a 2, and a 1. So we'll drop the 1. And that gives us a 10 for Dex.
Okay. For the
not great, not terrible.
No, average.
Yeah.
Okay, I have a 12 for the Constitution. A 6, a 4, and 2 2s. Two.
All right.
How about intelligence, Sean? I'm feeling this character is going to be.
4, 3, and 2. and a 1. So that makes it a 9.
A 9, yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm going to pause this real quick here. So far, we're looking at a 13, 10, 12, and then 9. Just looking at it, we really got to roll pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, this is going to be a super average character. Like, well, not, but that's going to make it interesting, I think. I think no matter what, it will make it interesting, but it will also make it difficult for some of our feats, possibly, if we don't get higher. I know that you were thinking the 9 for intelligence is kind of bad, but don't forget we get a +1 from our race of being a variant human, so it's actually a 10, so average.
Okay.
Wisdom. Oh, this is better.
Okay.
We have a 6, 5, 4, and a 1. So
that's
a
way better.
Of 15 on wisdom.
Okay.
And John, the charisma.
A 6, a 4, and a 1. So that is a high ass charisma.
A 16. Yeah.
You know, I like our charismatic, chaotic idiot.
Chaotic idiot is a very good way of describing this character right now.
Chaotic neutral of average intelligence.
Yes.
Straight average.
Oh. So for those of you keeping track at home, our final scores are 13 strength, 11 dex, 12 constitution, 10 intelligence, 15 wisdom, and 17 in charisma. This screams sorcerer to me.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe even warlock, but definitely sorcerer to me, because where wizards have a high intelligence to be able to cast their spells and things like that, sorcerers, they're just like, no, man, it's me, whee, and they can cast it.
And it's really funny, but when we rolled the language and we got draconic, I was like, this is a freaking sorcerer, but I didn't say it.
Yeah.
Because I was like, I don't want to be the guy that calls it out right at the beginning. Here we are.
It feels like it's starting to head that way, but we will see how the dice.
Yeah, we could. That doesn't mean we're gonna roll sorcerer.
Yeah, but just looking at what this tells us is this is a character who is used to getting their way, can make a lot of logical connections and connect oh, don't eat that mushroom, it's poisonous, don't or just knows things but doesn't know things. So you ask them hey, can I have half of a gold? And they're like, how much is that? And the person's like, 50 silver, which is wrong. And they're like, oh yeah, that sounds about right, here. And because they don't do the math, they don't maybe they're not a science person or what are
they know to ask the question but not to fact check.
Yeah, pretty much. Or actually probably the other way around. They can probably tell when somebody's lying, but they don't know why. They don't know what the fact is.
Fair.
They're just that doesn't sound right, but I don't know enough to argue with you. So
but you're the expert. I guess it means the earth is flat.
Yep. They're and I'm just going to go fall off the edge now.
Yeah.
Whee! So that's what I'm thinking. I'm looking at it. Probably some kind of spellcaster, maybe a bard. We already have one, but I think it feels very sorcerer-like. The strength is throwing me off, but maybe it's just her occupation, where she's from. She's young, she's strong. But talking about that, we are now into the background. And I need to take off the Magic the Gathering because that's just ridiculous. There's 17 backgrounds for us to roll and our D100 occupation list. What would you like to roll today, John? Do you want to roll the occupation or the background? Both are fun.
Both are fun. I don't know. I'll here, evens or odds. Let's roll to see what I get. Background is evens, occupation is odds. I rolled a 1, so I'll do occupation.
Okay, please roll 2d10. Well, a d100.
Yeah. So. Right, but it's a d. Yeah. Okay. 84.
Oh my goodness! All the way at the bottom.
Please murder Hobo.
Soldier.
Okay.
I like that giggle. Right.
Doesn't fit with our stats, but I mean, you could have a mage soldier, right?
I mean, a sorcerer soldier.
Yeah.
Like they're very strong. They could have been a recruit. They could have been like a town guard style character,
or they could have deserted because they're a murder hobo.
Exactly.
Oh, I'm calling it right now. We have murder hobo deserter. I just want it to be a murder hobo so strongly that I'm gonna end up like willing the dice to make them a murder hobo.
Well, John, this is gonna put a fudge in your your tights right here. I rolled an 11, which is a noble background.
Huh. But
but hear me out. Murder hobo.
But hear me out. Murder hobo. Because this is just rolling up. It's all coming up murder hobo, and I'll tell you why. Because if anybody who picks a character, makes them chaotic, neutral, and has a noble background, somebody who's playing a murder hobo, because they're wanting to start out with some money so they can have
now hear me out here.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, they could be a murder hobo.
Yes, they could.
All signs are pointing towards it, but this also really fits with the ability scores and the occupation.
Mm-hmm.
This character comes from a noble family, some kind of title, landowners probably.
Yeah.
Depending on what we get for the class, we might mix it up, or what we get for the character traits. And there's a lot of details into this background that we could just randomly roll up, like what is their coat of arms? Do they have a signet? But I feel like this character, to me, kind of feels like Mulan. In the sense that Mulan wasn't from a noble family, but this character would be. That they went to like the soldier academy to be an officer, to train like that, and went to an academy, and then maybe like ditched it.
Yeah.
Maybe
I was getting a similar vibe too, because Mulan's father was a landowner, and then she ends up joining the military. Of course, she's that's a whole different story than where we're going with it. But I think the sort of familial military lineage was something that sort of came to mind.
Yeah.
Like when you have somebody who's a noble and they're young and they are in the military, it's probably due to some kind of pressure from the family.
Yeah.
In some or some obligation of some kind.
Yes. And this character is also agendered. Mm-hmm. They're quite charismatic, very wise. They probably social pressures, like they're not living up to the family expectations of what they should be as like maybe the middle child or the oldest daughter, and they're just like, nah, I'm not gonna deal with marrying into such and such family. I'm gonna go be this military leader or something like that, and as was trying to do that.
Yeah.
Speaking of this will help us flesh out a little bit. We get to roll. We have 2 skill proficiencies. One is history. One is another one. So 1, 2, 16. So John, if you roll a d20, we'll see what we get and see what other skills this character has.
Hold on. $14. I rolled a lot of 14s tonight.
Sleight of hand. That's funny. They're also going to be proficient in 3-Dragon Ante as far as cards. And Jesus Christ.
These are more murder hobo traits.
They really are. Jesus. I'm gonna roll the language. Because they get another language because they're noble. They've studied, I guess.
Yeah.
13. Let's see what we get here. Infernal. Murder hobo.
Murder hobo. Why do you need to speak Infernal? It says here on my character sheet I speak Infernal. I'm going to talk.
Which means I'm going to kill you.
Yeah.
Let's do, okay, so pause. Breathe. This character is, we haven't spent a lot of time discussing this character, how they look, because they're kind of a human. They're very open into this. And we've been kind of just plowing through these roles. And we haven't really I don't feel we've given her enough attention. She's not just a murder hobo. She's a murder noble. She's elegant.
Yeah.
Potentially, as we roll these characteristics, she could be very flowery and have like a sense of style. I think. Did you ever see Akami? What was it? Akami La Kill? No, it wasn't Kill la Kill, but there was an assassin anime, and one of the big final bosses or enemies was this very prestigious, very powerful ice user, and she was like very haughty and noble. But holy crap, if there was one person in any show to be a murder hobo, it was her. Killed off hundreds of like just NPCs and like people on the good side, and like constantly raging war, and just loved to have war. Like she was a general and just enjoyed that. This could be something like that where they're not necessarily a murder hobo, but more like, I don't know, a budding supervillain.
Yeah, like a force of nature is almost the sort of mental picture that I was getting. But on the other side, and and I had started to form this picture as we were talking of like a military brat, right? Whose parentage or whatever kind of forced them into at least enlisting in the military and being this sort of chaotic neutral, like spoiled child almost.
Yeah.
She or they have just kind of blown that off and like decided to go out on their own adventuring. You know what I mean? That's kind of like, I feel like and those two things we could find a middle ground somewhere between those two things, because this character is just impulsive, right? And could also be capable of the budding supervillain antics, which I think is what all murder hobos on the inside strive to be. Yeah. They just don't always know it. Like it calls back to like a campaign I played one time where I'm a role player at heart. And so we are in an encounter with trolls, and to kill the trolls, because they kept regenerating, we drowned them. Ooh. And it was like, like the DM was like, oh, let me just look at the rules, because we had put them to sleep first. They were like unconscious or something. And so it's like you have so many minutes before they start to regenerate again. And I was like, well, let's get out of here. And someone's like, no, let's put them in the water and drown them, because we're right next to a river. I was like, are you kidding me? And because they really wanted to loot the trolls.
What are trolls going to have?
Troll armor. You know what I mean? The DM was like, they have a bunch of crap. And they're like, I don't care, bag of holding. So they really wanted to loot these trolls. And so then there's like a kobold or something. We fight a bunch of kobolds. Yeah. and this is why I brought up the point that I'm like a role player. I wanted to interrogate, like to actually talk to the kobold and find out like where this brazier that we were looking for was.
Yeah.
And the rest of the party was like, what? You want to speak to them? But they should die. And I was just like, you guys, it's a role-playing game. Like, role-playing. And they
lost it,
Yeah, I forgot the point of that story other than like murder hobos be murdering, man.
Murder hobos be murdering. That's good. John, please roll us 2d8 and let's figure out our characteristics for this character and see just how much of a murder hobo they really are. Are they like Skyrim murder hobo, or are they just like incidental murder hobo?
Yeah. 2d8. I rolled a 1 and a 7.
Okay. My eloquent flattery makes everyone I talk to feel like the most wonderful and important person in the world.
Nice.
And the second one, my favor, once lost, is lost forever.
Oh, wow. Nice.
So this sounds like not only did they get into a military academy, but they did get into being like an officer. Like they played the political game of the army and what like that, and they're very spiteful. And so, like if this character is dotting on you or doing something for you, and you like just rub it in their face, they're just like, "You're dead to me." Shank, shank, and then feed you to the pigs. Not saying that they're not murder hobo, but you might get murdered hobo if you piss them off or like just scorn them.
Right.
Let's see the ideal.
Do not. I'm thinking of Nazim in the Cloud District. Nazim would be dead, like stuffed in a basket somewhere.
Yeah. Oh man. Okay. Well, this is interesting. Ideal. Power. If I can attain more power, no one will tell me what to do. Technically, this is the evil ideal, but this also fits with her being a noble brat.
And a murder hobo.
And a murder hobo, potentially. They're not going to be a murder hobo. I will not let this happen.
So I
On
think,
the side, they're going to be a murder hobo. I can't stop this.
Yeah.
Choo-choo, all aboard the murder hobo train. Let's go.
It is going where it's going.
Yeah, you can't stop this train, man. Can't stop, won't stop. But it feels so. Now we don't have a military brat so much as somebody who was in a noble family, and I'm picturing like a middle child. Like lower middle child, like maybe even from like the second wife,
right?
Or maybe from the first wife or first husband or whatever. I say second wife because noble families in these kind of medieval style games, the females don't typically have the power of the land rights. It's patriarchal.
Yeah.
But in your game, it could be the other way around. But it's from another parent, and so is trying to prove themselves. And doesn't have the same kind of
or maybe even an illegitimate child, right?
True. Like illegitimate child.
Illegitimate children in some cases by nobility are still raised within the house. They're just not part, like Jon Snow, not part of the family technically. So military school kid, see you later, off to the wall with you.
Pretty much. Yeah. Is this our Jon Snow? They know nothing.
I think they do know nothing except murder
hobo.
This
is Jenny Snow.
Jenny Snow. Let me ask you this. This is probably going to just trigger a whole lot of people, but is Jon Snow a murder hobo?
No, because I don't actually think he kills a lot of people in the show. In the book, he does.
No, he's not.
But
Yeah.
in the show, he doesn't really do a lot of killing.
He
So
does not liberate Daenerys of all of her cheese wheels.
no, he does not, as he should have.
While she's standing there doing nothing.
John, please roll us a d6 and let's see what kind of bond she has, and see if this really
Okay.
is a person in the family, so to say.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. 3.
3. Nothing is more important than the other members of my family.
Okay.
Still, Jon Snow. This is Ginny Snow.
Oh yeah, totally. Yeah.
I'm gonna call it her Ginny Ice. Just
Yeah.
I don't want Snow. Ginny
Jenny Ice.
Snowflake. No,
Jenny Snowflake is funny.
Ginny Snowflake. There we go. And now the flaw.
Is that another D6? Oh, okay, you're rolling it.
Yeah, I got it. Oh, I too. Sorry, hang on. I too often hear veiled insults and threats in every word addressed to me, and I'm quick to anger. Murder hobo.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That's the murder hobo dice.
What did you say to me, Dave?
You fool!
I attack the shopkeep.
God, I hate.
Why?
So if you enjoy murder hoboing, don't feel like we hate it too. I love playing World of Warcraft and Guild Wars and Borderlands as much as the next person. Those are murder hobo games, straight up. Like you go out, you kill a bunch of things, and you don't really pay attention to the quest so much as you get a general feel for it, and you just go along.
Fallout is a murder hobo game. Any Bethesda game, really.
Yeah, pretty much.
Skyrim.
Oh God, Skyrim's a super murder hobo game. You were tied up, you were supposed to be executed, and suddenly you're the hero of the realm after killing thousands upon thousands of skeever,
and you're homeless. You just wander around killing things and stealing cheese wheels.
Pretty much. You can, if you want to play a very combat oriented version of D&D, that's fine. It's completely acceptable, completely all right to do that.
Oh yeah.
But remember, when you go do your murder hoboing, to don't murder hobo towns. Don't murder hobo like merchants. Like you have to pick and choose who you murder hobo, because otherwise it just becomes monotonous and you ruin your whole party gets stuck with, they can't go into towns, they're outcasts, and you suddenly have the evil party, and you don't want that. There's
that scene in have you seen the movie it's a D&D movie, it's called Gamers the Darkness Rising?
No, maybe I haven't.
To watch it.
I think I might have.
Where one of the early scenes is the party comes across like a farmer who only one of the 4 people playing realizes you can ask questions to find out like where they should be going, like story hook or whatever, and like mid sentence the sorcerer just blows him to pieces. Because they're like, yeah, come on, we gotta go this way, like let's go, we're going we're going to kill the things. She's like, oh, how are you today, sir? And he's like, oh, I'm great. It's but I can't remember the line, the woods have been dark of late, and then boom. Let's go. Quit talking to NPCs. What are you doing? Let's go.
I think I've seen that. Oh,
but
man.
I think I want to add to that. I think when you have like in the DM and all your players are invested in basically just dungeon running and building characters to do combat stuff, that's totally fine.
Yeah.
Combat and loot, that is what some people like about D&D.
And they like the epicness of the combats and the rising of a hero style character. But that being said, my current group, when we were beginning the Horde of the Dragon Queen, we've killed off four core NPC evil characters in that campaign by accident, just because
Whoops.
the DM couldn't get them out of like combat soon enough, and he gave a few characters special abilities that just like this character turned into a giant baboon and just bit that dragonborn's head off. Whoops.
Oops. Yeah.
It happens. You sometimes murder hobo an entire cult and ruin the hooks, but that's okay.
That happens.
It's not
Sometimes
a town.
your players ruin your. Yeah, it's not a town. Don't kill it. Don't kill the innocent farmers.
Yeah. Try not to. We're not squashing combat oriented characters. We're not saying that you shouldn't do that. Just remember, make a story with it, and try not to kill the innocent family people living in the farm next door. Like, don't blow them down. So, moving on from how to be a murder hobo properly, we should figure out how this character murder hobos people. So we need a class.
What flavor of murder hobo have we created?
So to do this, we're going to do our D12. You roll, I roll. We see what two classes we get, and we debate it out. And they murder hobo each other until only one is left standing. I'm going to put murder hobo in a lot of this.
We've said the word murder hobo, the phrase murder hobo, many times.
I think we've been flagged by the FBI and a couple different government agencies by now. Okay, so you ready, John? You got your D12?
Yep. I got my D12 right here.
I have no clickety-clack box, but I will get ready to roll. Ready?
Okay.
1, 2, 3.
I rolled a 10.
A 10? And I rolled a 12. Not a 12, sorry. A 2. I was adding them together. Mm-hmm. Yay! We have Bard from me and Sorcerer from you.
It's got to be a sorcerer.
It has to be a sorcerer, right? Like it.
First of all, we don't have a sorcerer yet.
And this character, we called it at the beginning. You said you didn't want to do it. The dice heard it. Sorcerer.
Yeah.
No debate about this. This character,
murder hobo sorcerer.
but think about it. So we have this child from nobility who is haughty, very much cares for the family, went into military school probably, is not currently a military person. They might be. They might still be a soldier. That might be a plot hook with you and your DM, but they also might be out of it. Maybe they were in a local thing, manifested their magic, and left out of fear. Maybe they were like away from the family at school and this happened and they try to get back to the family. This offers a lot of hooks depending on what our sorcerer's origin is. So let's go ahead and do up our rolls, because we not only do we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We have 5 because we already have persuasion, skills to choose from, and then we have a couple of our origins to roll and spells, because sorcerers innately know spells and they don't get to change them. So this is, well, you get to change them every level, but really you don't get to, you get like a maximum of like 15 known spells that you can always cast. So this really changes up how the character plays and feels. So John, roll me 2d6.
Okay. Two 3s.
Okay. Insight and intimidation.
Interesting. Not particularly sorcerer skills, but I think you could use those.
But remember,
it goes well with a real high charisma score, right?
A high charisma or high wisdom for both of those. Work on it. This is a character, again, noble, so they understand how people kind of act. They can see into social situations, and then they can just be like, I'm gonna murder hobo you if you don't shut up. And then people are like, okay, sure, yeah. John, roll a d6 please, or you can roll a d10 and we'll have it.
Let's roll a d10.
We have 5 choices.
Another 3.
So that's a 2. Draconic bloodline.
Nice. How?
So
how did I do it?
So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I'm going to roll a d10 and let's find out what kind of dragon ancestry this character had.
Okay.
Silver dragon. So they use cold damage, and they gain resilience to cold damage, most likely, eventually. Currently, they also have draconic resilience, which means that they gain 1 extra hit point at each level, and then parts of our character's body is covered with thin dragon-like scales of the same kind of color that gives us a natural armor bonus of 3. So our current armor is AC is 13 plus our dexterity. I don't think any of the light armor that we could potentially use will actually be better than that.
Right.
So let me just check.
You want to re-roll the feat?
I think we're going to have to re-roll the feat, yeah. Yeah, I think we're going to have to re-roll the feat because it's not going to... Unless we got a magical armor, then it's not going to impact the character. And as a sorcerer, you don't really want to have armor anyway. So, yeah, let's re-roll the feat. And that was like a 30-something, so just roll 2d20s and we'll figure it out.
All right. 14. 3 and 11.
Okay. That is Keen Mind. You have a mind that can track time, direction, and detail with uncanny precision. You gain the following benefits. Increase your intelligence score by 1. You always know which way is north. You always know the number of hours left before the next sunrise or sunset. And you can accurately recall anything you have seen or heard within the past month.
Oh, that's rad.
Okay, that fits a little bit better.
Mm-hmm.
So now our character isn't just... Granted, they're still not the most intelligent one, but they remember any slight that happened to them previously.
Oh, yeah. And I mean, especially with how vindictive they are.
Yes.
They're going to come back and get you.
Oh, yeah.
They're going to come back and get you.
Oh, and shank you. Now, as a sorcerer, you know 4 cantrips. 4.
Okay.
Which is a lot. And 2 known spells at first level. So let's see. 1, 2, 5, 6, 7, 28. Jesus. So, John, we're going to each roll a d20 and a d8 twice and see what kind of spells we get. Okay. Are you ready to see how we murder Hobo people?
Yeah.
Okay.
26 here.
26?
Mm-hmm.
28, 27. Sword. Ugh. My mouth is a little dry. Sword, burst, and I got 8, which is 1, 2, 3. Firebolt. So we explode swords when people are close, and we shoot fire otherwise. Let's see what the other 2 are.
All right.
Ooh, 25, 19, and 6.
And I rolled a 10.
So shocking grasp and frostbite. Interesting. So we have silver scales on her body.
Mm-hmm.
She's a soldier, and she uses fire, frost, lightning, and slashing damage in spells. Very interesting.
I think, honestly, like setting the murder hobo joke aside for a minute, I do think this is actually a really well streamlined character as well, and has some real opportunities for depth.
Oh, yeah.
Like you said earlier regarding the whole nobility background, the way you could almost play it like a military brat, or you could go and say this is a character who is following the sort of family tradition of enlisting in the military, and it did or it didn't work out. Maybe they're on a scouting mission when they come across a town, or maybe they were deserted, or maybe they were kicked out. There's a lot of different directions you can go to it, and I love the personality that we have that is like, this person never forgets a slight and always has a plan to get back at the person.
Yeah.
And is very good at politics. Like this character, I think is destined for like being like in the midst of, political intrigue. And
this character really fits that. Yeah. It fits a political intrigue style game. It feels like, depending on what we roll here for our spells, could very easily fit into a combat oriented style game.
Yeah.
A modular game that floats between both of them. This is a very well set character. John, we need to roll on a 25 table. So a D6 and a D20, each of us, to figure out what we're going to cast as our spells, our first level spell slots.
Okay.
I'm going to roll my 2 blood dice here. And I have a 7.
And I rolled a 13.
Interesting. Color spray and false life. False life gives our character temporary hit points of 1d4 plus 4. So that's actually really good for we don't have to worry about mage armor as a sorcerer of Draconic, because our base is 13 AC. And so the extra life is actually pretty useful.
Yeah.
Considering we have I think 7 to start out with. 8. We have 8 hit points. So as a sorcerer. And then color spray as our offensive one, just Jubilee, sparkles, and blinds enemies, which is kind of interesting. So we have our damage spells be mostly cantrips, and then our utility spells being mostly spell slots. So that's pretty cool. So overall, we have a Draconic sorcerer who is fairly...
This is a well-trained combat mage, I think.
Yeah.
It makes me wonder, because of how well the spells have aligned with being like a battle mage type character and the Draconic lineage. It really makes me wonder what the actual story you could have with this character is. The murder hobo thing is funny, and you could totally just because all the personality traits also say this character is just going to burn the world down.
Yeah.
But what exactly motivates this character beyond impulsiveness or decisions within the moment? Because it's are they a military deserter? They didn't like being in the military, they didn't like being bossed around, or do they get kicked out because they have a bad snooty attitude?
Yeah. Or are they still in the military? She's 19. Right. She could still technically be in the military. She could be on leave. She could be on a mission. Maybe. Okay. Hear me out here. So I'm going to call her Jenny Frost because Jon Snow jokes. So Jenny Frost and her family are the political section of the area that the town has started to be settled in. They own most of the land in that area. It's very wide open. They have some rangers who go through there. So word has gotten back to the bigger city, down the river, up the river, where the family is actually living, that there's these monsters settling in and there's weird things going on down at this thing. And so because this is where her family has historical ties to, or they are the noble family, the closest noble family in the area, and she's in the watch or in the military there, she's leading an expedition to the town and discovers it. Realizes that she can get more power by staying there and establishing it as an actual town and under the jurisdiction of her family, and more importantly under her, that she stays.
Did we just create our leader?
I would say so. Now we have Celia, who will help make laws, has already been kind of governing, and her and Misty trying to like balance things out. But now we have the de facto backer, the authority in the area.
Right.
We now have the like, no longer is this just a small hamlet, which it still is, but now it's under the jurisdiction of this town, of this authority, this country, and now it's an actual town, and she's judging it and like living there to figure out like, what are these things up to? Why is there a hobgoblin and 2 orcs, or orc and a half orc, living in this town? Where did this lizard folk come from? What is a gith? And so she's exploring it as is and establishing it as a reputable town, and
maybe setting up some kind of outpost, or
And honestly, I could see this character becoming the figurehead. Like, our figurehead is Sophia, ours, but for the town and it making trades with the bigger city and being reputable, she's the figurehead.
Right. She's there to legitimize what's happening.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I'm digging it, man. I think we have lots we can make jokes about the murder hobo, but the reality is this character, you've got some opportunities.
Yes, very much character.
So. And yeah, she is, I think, totally suited to rolling into a town to establish the
authority.
The authority, yeah, and to like to write letters back to the estate, or to write letters back to the government, the court, to request things like roads and other
and some actual like maybe some
garrison
guards, Now we can probably start having like little NPCs pop in and out. Like, we're not going to talk about them.
Right.
The main NPCs are the NPCs that you can become PCs and you can take out.
Right. But now there are randos just wandering around. There are Skyrim guards.
Yes, and they will ask you if somebody has stolen your street roll all the time.
That's right.
And I don't think we need to even roll up a name. I like the idea of just calling her Jenny Frost, or Jen Frost. It just just to play off of the Jon Snow. Yeah, I think I'm really happy with where this character came to. Like, she came all the way from being a murder hobo to being the temporary mayor of the town, like
the de facto governor almost.
Yeah. So I'm sure like there are going to be some other characters who like don't want to listen to her. She's too young. She doesn't know anything. Argues all the time. That's going to happen, and that would be really interesting to see. Like Jaruk would probably be an interesting one to see that argument with. It'd be interesting to see if Coloxis has anything to do with stealing from the family. Maybe this is a family that had giant hedgehogs.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Who else I'm thinking of too? Have you seen this show, The Dragon Prince on Netflix?
Oh yes. Oh yeah.
The sister sorcerer.
Oh yeah.
In that. Yeah.
Yeah. She's like, I didn't mean to be evil, but dark magic.
But dark magic, and also just acting on impulse and doing what she thinks is
pretty
the
much
right move in the situation based on the evidence that she sees in front of her. I think that actually is a great analog for. I wish I could remember her name.
Oh,
but I do think it's a great analog for this character.
Yeah, I think it's all. I agree with you. It's a great analog, and a great description of this character. Yeah. So that brings us to the end of this character creation and this podcast of this session. Not the end of the podcast. Goodness, no. Just the end of the session.
Many more episodes to go.
So we want to thank all of you for listening, for staying with us even throughout everything, and making the fan art, taking the characters out, telling us how much you like the characters, how much you new things that we can try to do on the roll. Please don't forget to leave comments, likes, share the podcast on YouTube, on Podbean, subscribe on the YouTube, follow along on Podbean. It all really helps. We say it every time, but there are algorithms for these things.
Yeah.
We really need that kind of stuff. You can also support us on the Patreon. It's slowly coming together. Feel free to check it out. And you can find both me and John on social media and Twitch. Me at Raging Cajun Studios and D Milcoon on Twitch. And John?
Johnnicus on Instagram, Twitch, and YouTube and Twitter.
And we love hearing from you, and we're always happy to respond. So thank you for listening once again, and we'll catch you on the next episode.
Peace.